We certainly have been inspired by that garden that we just saw. Beautiful use of space and by working the garden into different rooms. And you can see how easy it was done just by using trees, pavers, and different textures within the garden. What I did like about that garden were those awesome pots, just used on their own, that made such an amazing feature. So what are we going to show you today? Well, today we're showing you how to make your own pots. I kid you not, you're going to be the guru of pot making in a very, very short while. The type of pot that we're making today is called a hypertufa. Now, that's a terrible word. Basically, bottom line is we're going to be making a type of pot. It's called a hypertufa, and a bit of history behind that. This is how it happened, that back in the old days, them days, you know, it took us a day, yeah, those times. Well, they used to go and take rocks out of the wild, and those rocks were very high lying ground, and what used to happen there is where they'd be naturally weathered, they would have a bit of an indentation in them. People used to then take those out and plant plants in them that enjoyed well-drained areas and certainly be able to simulate those conditions. The types of plants that grew in those would be succulents, types of alpines, and even trees that might have seeded inside there, so kind of a mini bonsai. But then as time went by, well, those rocks weren't as easy to come by, so they simulated that by creating a pot which man could make, which is called a hypertufa, and we're going to show you exactly how to make that today. Very simple. All that you need is the following. You need a mixing bowl. Big guy like this, that's all you're going to need. You're going to need a mold that you're going to be making your pot in. And really here you can go wild. Absolutely anything. I've just got a plastic bowl here, but what I have got, which is important, is that inside the bowl that there are no lines. Obviously, if you are going to have the lines here, the mold will take that shape and you'll pick them up. So there's a bowl, and then the essential ingredients are these. Some cement and some peat. Now, peat you can get from any local garden centre, and it doesn't really matter what type it is, as long as it is peat. And take a look at the peat. It's a beautiful product, and it really is fantastic. If you use it, what other uses can you use it for? Well, you can mix it in your potting soil to help with drainage. You can mix it into your garden, and it is a fantastic organic product that is very, very lightweight, which is important when we're making a pot, because we don't want to make a very heavy pot, because then how on earth are we going to lug it around the garden? So this is how we go. We're going to use 1 part of cement, which I'm just going to get out of here, of just dry cement mixture. That's all we need. Okay, 1 part of dry cement mixture. That's all we need, and just use whatever measuring container you have at home. I've used an ice cream tub here because I know that we're going to get the right mixture here. So into the mixing bowl goes, and then 2 parts of the peat. 2 parts of peat, measure that out. In it goes. Two parts of peat into the mixing bowl, and all we do now is we're just going to mix it up like you're making muffins or a cake into a really well mixed dry mixture. And you'll find that in the peat you might have a few lumps, and what you've got to do at this point is just to try and break them up with your fingers. So I'm just going to mix it all together and crumble away when I do come across these little lumps. Once we've made sure that we've got a really good friable mixture, you can see we can't see the difference between the peat and the cement anymore. Nice greyish colour. Then we should be ready to add the water. Now at this point, if you wanted to get a pot that had a colour in it, well, of course all you needed to do was to add a bit of oxide, which you can pick up from your local hardware store. How much do you put in? Well, just go wild. You're going to test them out, see what the colours they come out in, but you can really get a huge range of colours that you can experiment in and give it a bash. So we've got it all mixed up. I'm going to make a little well in the centre of the little mixing bowl here. Probably the closest I'm ever going to get to trying to bake a cake. But hole in the center, and then all we're going to do is add little bits of water, not too much, little bits of water at a time. And let's pour a bit in here. And then we're just going to mix it up. Right, that should be enough to start off with. Take either a small trowel, something like this, and just get it all mixed in. So everything is nicely mixed, and take a look at the consistency. It's kind of like a chunky cottage cheese. It's really the only way I can explain it. But at the end of the day, what you're wanting is that you can almost form a mud ball with it that you can kind of work with. It's not going to crumble. Then you know that you've got the right amount of moisture in it. So now we're ready. Now starts the fun part. This is my mold that I told you about earlier. It's just a plastic bowl. It's got no holes in it. That's all we need, and whatever size your heart desires, you can go wild. What we do need is just something plastic, and I've just used a little bin bag here. And that I'm just going to use to line the inside of my mold. So we just pop that in like that. Don't be too worried about crinkles and where it doubles over, because that's just going to add to the character of your pot when it does come out. Right, all nicely snug. Now at this point, you've got some options. You can either just start packing in your cement mixture, or you can become a bit creative and you can maybe use something like this, which is called sphagnum moss, and it's a dried moss. And what you can do with this is pack a bit of this on the inside of your mold, and then take your mixture and then start packing that against it. And what this does do is that it gives you just another look. When we take the pot out, once it's dried, you'll see the bit of moss that's molded into the outside of the walls of your pot, and it really does look funky. You don't have to do this, but it does just add an extra texture and that aged element to your pots. So if you do want to do that, add the moss around the outside and just pack it in. So take ball-shaped guys like this that are easy to work with, and all you do is just start packing it in to your mold. When you're packing it in, a couple of points is that you want to make the thickness generally about 3 to 4 centimeters. That's how thick you want it. And it's generally easy as well to start packing from the bottom to help your side stand up. When you're working with it as well, just try and move the pot around, which does make it way easier when you are molding it. And the top, of course, you want to try and get that as smooth as possible, because that is going to be your outer edge of your pot. And just work it in, making sure that you try and keep an even thickness all the way around the lip of your pot. Last few finishing touches to the mold. Just make sure that all the edges are nice and smooth, that you're working on the level of your mold, and you're going to end up with something like this. That's exactly what it's going to look like. Now, all good pots need a drainage hole. So how do we get that right? Well, it's very easy. All you do, finger and make a hole in the middle of the pot. Make it quite big, because remember, this is going to be your only drainage holes. I wouldn't encourage you to make more holes, because remember, that's going to weaken your pot then. So just one hole. Make sure that you get right down to the plastic. There we go. It's as simple as that. That's all you need. Now what we do is take our little guy, put it out in the sun, and leave it there for about 7 days. You want it to really dry well. You'll see the color changing of the cement and the peat mixture. And after 7 days, I'm going to show you what you're going to end up with. And it's going to be an awesome pot. So folks, this is the little guy that I made a couple of days ago. 7 days ago, it's been drying nicely in the full sun. You can see how the color has changed compared to the first one that we made. It's dried up really well. And now, the tricky part is to take it out of here. And let's give it a bash. So first of all, just give it a bit of a tap around the edges, just to help loosen it a bit. Tap it out. Okay, then to take it out, put my hand over here. We're going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to pop off the mold. There we go, off it comes. take off the plastic. Do you see how easy it just comes off? And there we go. There's our first little hypertufa made perfectly well. And you can see here, there's the little drainage hole. It's come right, absolutely perfect. And you can see how light it is. Why does it end up so light? Well, that's because the peat is very lightweight. And all you've got is the peat and cement. And it's absolutely gorgeous. And now I want to show you the one that we made with the sphagnum moss. Remember I showed you how to pack the sphagnum moss on the inside of the pot? Well, take a look at this gorgeous guy. Look at this, absolutely beautiful. By packing the moss on the outside, as you pack it, then when you do take it out, you get this beautiful texture over here. I just think it's absolutely stunning. So now we've got 2 hypertufas. What we're going to do, pot them up, and we're going to show you exactly what to plant in them. And you can really go wild. Also, they're great for bonsai pots, just by the way. But, of course, if you know me by now, you know that I'm wild about succulents. I've got this gorgeous little sempervirens that I'm going to put in here with some gravel around it, and it's going to be stunning. So, in we go with the potting soil. We don't need to worry about any other drainage because it has that major drainage hole in it, and as well, this is a porous material. Because of the peat, the water will move in and out of the pot as you're watering it, so drainage is fantastic. In goes some potting soil, firm it down. Let's take this little guy out, squeeze the pot, pop him out, there we go. Place him in the middle of your little hypertufa, and then just put the potting soil around it. Just to finish it off, I'm going to put some nice fine gravel around it and try and work with as fine as possible with this because it does just give you a better look. Sprinkle that around. There we go. Dust the bits off the plant that I've got in there. So there you have it, our little sempervirens planted in our hypertufa with gravel around it just to finish it off. And folks, doesn't it look absolutely beautiful? And so simple. So what kind of plants would you put into here? Well, those special collector's plants that you have, those ones that you were given or that you took cuttings of from many, many family generations, or even bonsai, they work beautifully in here. And what a better way than be able to make your own pots. And wasn't it easy? I kid you not. So simple, so easy to do, and look at the final result. Just beautiful.